In my previous 3 videos, I demonstrated that the immune system could attack and kill cancer very effectively over a course of 40 days after using a compound of a key ingredient with possible gene switching or metabolic baiting mechanism of action, as well as an adjuvant and a carrier, was able to get that into the tumor and eject it off the skin. Also, underneath, it was biopsied and no remaining cancer was found, which is good. But the question is, would it actually affect normal skin? Would it actually burn into the normal skin? Would it do the same thing to the normal skin? Hypothetically, no, because here is the control. 4 days, changed twice. You can see some mutant hairs probably coming out of the weird 2 moles that it was treated generously for 4 days. Pretty much the same as the melanoma was treated. The general consensus is that 1 treatment is all that is necessary, washed off the 2nd day, or sometimes kept on for a process of 2 weeks, but not changed. Here, it's demonstrated that it actually does not, under normal usage, affect normal cells. However, hypothetically, if you are talking about a single cell organism, which cancer is, any bacteria would be affected. Also, the adjuvant might actually inflame and infect certain other skin conditions based on the fact that it is not selective or is only semi-selective on cancer cells. Okay, I'm going to pause the video. Oh no. However, as it happens, I'm allergic to band-aids. So in the center of the bandage outline that you see was a mole, or is a mole, that was treated for 5 days, changed every 36 hours, or basically 3 times, way beyond the directions or instructions or consensus. The pimples that appeared around the edges of the bandage, which were probably filled with bacteria, did get affected by the compound, or at least the adjuvant. It doesn't have the same reaction as we've seen in the previous 3 videos, but we are looking at something with some kind of irritation and single cell organism, pimply rash that did get somewhat overly inflamed based on the compound. So that would be the 2 controls with totally differing results based on logical hypothesis and mechanism of action, as really obvious to any immunologist as far as what happens. It's a very similar reaction as what you would see with a splinter or atherosclerosis and many other inflammatory responses, which is actually the immune system attracting immune cells to the area so that the foreigner can actually be killed, isolated, expelled out of the body. Oxidized LDL, pollution particles in your intima, it's all connected. And as is maybe COVID, we also know that the compound that I used probably would not work with people with type 2 diabetes, people with a thymus that's past its prime, over age 70, senile immune cells. Yeah, so I mean, it would be limited. There are people that recommend up to 3 treatments, similar to what you see here, but only for 3 days, but not 5 days. Obviously, depending on what part of the body would be the thickness of the skin, we do not know, we do not understand the genetic or the subcellular metabolism that actually allows the compound to work, and we do not know the propagation. We do not know exactly the best way to integrate it to Western medicine. It is not recommended. However, it does need to be studied in the lab. The lack of any intellectual curiosity and the anti-science censorship again strikes, and what I found in showing such videos and pictures to other people around me is that the responses were basically politically motivated, not scientifically. You could almost predict, based on the person's voting record or previous comments, whether they were going to accept or reject the evidence that's in front of their eyes. To me, as a trained 5 years in engineering, I'm looking at it as a problem or a mechanism that needs to be better understood. Partly to save lives, and then partly to apply that knowledge to other treatments and other cancers, but other novel delivery methods, in order to expand the knowledge of mankind, possibly even treat other illnesses indirectly that we would not even imagine. Obviously, there are areas and of skin irritations and conditions that this particular compound could affect, specifically any kind of single cell organism. Cancer is your complex organism cells losing their signaling and going back to the early Earth single cell state, in which, of course, antibiotics can, like doxycycline in very high concentrations, can kill in vitro the cancers. Probably not orally, because you would need at least 20 times the FDA dose of doxycycline to probably do that, to actually have any effect on the human body. So what we're looking at here is something that I've always kind of viewed as maybe easily treated, which would be, skin cancer, which is something that can be caught early. Obviously, the stages of cancer, if it's deep, we don't know, like the propagation of this particular compound. We don't know if it would actually get like any kind of metastases, or etc. The current success rate of dermatology, 95%, with squamous cell or melanomas within the first 5 years, at least with survival rates, 10 years, 85%. I think they can do better. But at the same time, if I were a dermatologist, I probably wouldn't get a whole lot of callbacks on the people that died. Probably wouldn't get a lot of feedback on that. Just as like any other professions, you can have a lot of failures, but you might not get called back every time you get a failure. It might be very rare. It might be 1 in 10 times. It might be 1 in 100 times. We don't know. But anyway, hopefully science wakes up, and YouTube doesn't take this video down by showing a control and discussing in a very logical, empirical way of what we do know and what we don't know.